Good day, beloved. Good day, beloved. Much love to you and yours. Just going to wait for a second. We're going to be talking about the ish. I was doing some research as usual, and I was looking at ing and ish, and it just good day, beloved. It rings, the ing. Well, the ing actually does ring. It's on the end of bling, and it's like a bell. I'll explain more ish. Ish. These words are alive, and we get our words from the Hebrew language, the Iconian language, which was Phoenician. It's English now, and it's mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff, Greek, and our English is a, what do you say? It's like a mutt language. It's mixed with all kinds of stuff. But initially, one interesting thing about language is that you could look at the prefixes and the suffixes. You could look at even each individual letter and still find the meaning that we need. Good day, family. Much love to you and yours. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk about this ish. And we know that everything is embedding. We're in the matrix. Okay, so in the matrix, everything has a code and it's embedding. So I was looking at the I, S, and the H. We hear words like Jewish and more ish. What is this ish? When I was looking at the shiny sh and how I use ish to take the place of sh, the sh, right? You take the T off of it, just playing with some letters. Take the T off of it, and that T, to me, looking at code, is like the four sides of the globe, okay? And they take this shiny ish, and it's like the technology that blares this productive thing in our eyes, right? So we can't see the truth, and we're blinded by the light, so to speak, blinded by the Hollywood lights, blinded by our own foresightedness, blinded by our own inability to grasp higher concepts or even want to. So that's the ish. It's encoded and it's embedded. So as I've been saying, these letters are like their code. And so when we use the dictionary, I want to show you how the I, let me show you something. I'm sure that you trooper studies, you trooper scholars, like stormtroopers up in this matrix, probably already know about this, but just in case we don't, because there's always pieces that I'm missing. You'd be surprised how you could have almost the perfect formula if you just knew how to add just a little bit of salt, but not just any salt. You know what I'm saying? It has to be the right kind of salt. Like you want that red Indonesian salt, or you want that black salt. You want a particular kind of something to work your alchemy. And like these letters, the more you look at them dance in your mind and the way that we use them and the way that they're being used and they're moving around in our heads, making these abstract thought concepts, these archons, right? These thought constructs. Check this out. When you look in the Bible, in the Bible, it almost works like that. The way that we look at words. Can I get this right? Are we going to get any focus at all on this? Let me see. Okay. if you look at the I, you can flick that back later. The focus is really funky. You're going to see that the I is the 19th letter of the English alphabet. Latin, remember I said, like, it's like our language is like a mutt. You know, we get these languages from all over the place. You know, and it's Semitic for Yod, and that means hand. And the Hebrew alphabet, like I've been studying how the Hebrew language is actually a chemical language. And the reason why it's a chemical language is that it's embedded, it's alive, and each letter stands for something. So it's kind of like getting the pure, and then taking it and stepping on it. When you change what was Iconian and Phoenician and now Hebrew to all these other dialects and language. When you look in the dictionary and you look at prefixes and suffixes and roots, when you study these little light code frequencies, you start to see, they start to speak to you in a different way. So this I has another meaning by itself as a symbol, and so does the S and the H. By themselves, they say something, just like when you break your name down into a numerology and you condense the meaning of something. Yes, it's also sacred geometry. You know, that's what the light code frequencies are, okay? And this is why this is so exciting today. So this ish, I'm playing around with this word ish, using it a lot. So then I wanted to see more about this ish. So I took and I looked up each letter. And so the yod means hand, but it's also voiceless. And it's a Greek sigma, and it stands for 70 or even 7. Okay? So it has two meanings. It's going to stand for, in numerology, 7 or 70. It's a Greek sigma, and it means voiceless. Okay? But it also means hand, yod, like hidden hand, maybe? Let's explore this more. That shiny ish, the ish. What is the ish? We're going to go to the S. The S, right? Oh, wait a minute. That was the S. Excuse me. The S is voiceless as a Greek sigma and stands for 7 or 70. Okay? My bad. The S is voiceless. That S is voiceless, is a Greek sigma, and stands for 7 or 70. The I stands for yod, means hand, okay? And the I actually used to be the J before the 11th century. And we know the 11 is a gateway number, okay? So the I took over the J after the 11th century. When that gate opened, there's a lot going on during that time. People were changing phonetics and the meanings of these symbols before we lost the knowledge that they're sacred geometry, that they're light code frequencies, that they had deeper meaning. And we just started talking and accepting other people's meanings of these letters that we string together to make words. Before we lost the meaning of phonetics and how sound affects us physically. So imagine if you have a language that's actually a chemical language that actually causes changes in the matrix because of how pure it is, because of what it is. It's actually the essence of a light code frequency, this Hebrew language. So we move to the H. So we have the hand, which is the I. And we have the S, which is voiceless. It's a Greek sigma, It stands for 7 and 70, right? And then we have the H. The H is a symbol for 8, eighth in a sequence of a group. H means eighth in a sequence of a group. Those of us who know about numerology, check out the 8, as in literally 8, to consume, to like a tourist field, right? It's a gateway also. But check this out. I thought was interesting. This is going to all pull together really soon. All right? The H is embedded, and the H is also known to be silent. What? Did they say the S was voiceless, and the H was silent, and the I meant hand? So it's not only sacred geometry, but it's symbolism, which has the deeper meaning, right? Because it comes from the Iconian language, the Hebrew language, right? So you don't really pronounce, or we didn't usually pronounce the H. It's what came after the H, like ha. Okay, ha, ha, ha. I just put a little smile there. You know, I come in peace came to my mind. Like, this language is some ish. Are you serious? So when I say, this is what made me start thinking of it. I was looking up something and it said, excuse me. The double meaning of our words. Excuse me. With my intention, excuse me meaning pardon me, or pardon something that I did, or making room as a politeness for something you need to do. Excuse me, like I'm making room for you. But when I was looking in this unabridged dictionary, excuse me also meant, depending on somebody else's perception and intention, meant to excuse me. Like really, like carry along now, excuse you. To excuse me, to move me out of the way. So sometimes when people say, we're excusing you, it may not be a good idea. We've been excused from thinking for ourselves. We've been excused. We think being excused is like a polite way of saying you're forgiven. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. You're excused. Or would you excuse me? You're excused from having to do the work to coexist. Excuse me. Or excuse you. And so the way it depended on when I looked at it, it depended on what group you were in or what circumstances that excuse me was said. And how it was said. It could even be said with a smile, but depending on the circumstances, wait a minute, you may not want to be excused. You may not want to be excused. But then again, maybe you do. Depends on what the circumstances are. Then again, we weren't really thinking on a deeper level how we have been being excused, those of us who like thinking, from thinking. Ha! That's some ish, huh? The ish was like this suffix for some ish, okay? The ish is the deferment. I keep tracking this deferment, how we keep co-signing, excusing ourselves from thinking, from responsibility. This ish is some ish. Well, ish is also fertilizer, right? Shit is fertilizer and shit goes down. But it's where it's put. In a garden, we got something we really want. In the middle of a living room, not so cute, right? So we want to excuse certain ish and be mindful of the technology that also needs fertilizer, and what it uses for fertilizer is ignorance. It uses our ignorance and it uses our slothfulness. Like, I don't want to learn that. I don't want to read that. I don't really want to. Sometimes I find myself like, oh my gosh, I can't learn this whole big thing over here unless I look up this one thing here that seems to be a pain in the butt. That one thing, getting the concept of, I don't know, I just may not want to like dig into the clarity of that one particular thing. But if I choose to get the clarity of that one particular thing, it opens up volumes of understanding for something else. And it's more, I'm learning more and more about quieting myself and listening to those still small voices that say, you know what? Just check out the smaller things. It's the little things that lead to the big things, right? So the ish as fertilizer, language being code, that tea is like leftover from the four corners of the world, north, south, east, and west. Um, and the ish is the ing. It's the thing. It's the ing. Now, suffixes, okay? This ish is leaving a negative connotation on the end of things without us really recollecting it. And the same way that example of excuse me can do that, where we just kind of like as sheep, depending on the circumstances, will take that excuse me when we shouldn't be excused at all. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be excusing ourselves. We should be included when we're being excused. And it sounds good and it's like a trigger. Excuse me. It's like, yeah, we open the door. Excuse me or excuse you. It depends on, again, the circumstances. So I was looking at the ing, the ing, this thing, this ing, this ringing, this ing, because when I was looking at the ish, it has a resonator, okay? The way that it moves, its thought construct through the mind. This ish was ringing and got me thinking, the ish got me thinking about the ing, and we know that the I stands for hand in the Hebrew language. The end stands for half of an M. And the G is full. It stands for C major, it stands for A minor, and it's also G keynote, okay? The N stands for nitrogen in chemistry and a neutron in physics. It also stands for 90, and the G stands for 400,000. They're not empty. They're not void like the ish. Ain't that some ish? When you look at code and frequency. The ing is not void. The ing that rings is not void. But the ish is void. So I'm hearing words like Jewish. And I'm thinking of my research about Hitler talking about America has the jewels, which led me to the research of the original Jews and the Hebrew Israelite historical background, which also ended up connecting to Earth history. Check out Asir Duke of Tears research on that. Also, Dan Winters has some great research on the extraterrestrial history of the planet with the Dracons and the Archons, and where that S came from, the serpent tribes. So just thinking about this ish, the ing and the ish, same thing. I was thinking, what's wrong about this shit? That's what I wrote it right there. Thought forms travel, and it's like a doppelganger. This ish. Who is these ish? Was like they weren't real. They weren't the real thing. It was an ish, and this is also saying how it's not real. It's a form of. Now, here we go. So we've been beat, right? You know, when it's the technology, you've been beat, which leads me to the word beat. And what is a more anyway, right? This got really good to me. You've been beat, like you've got mail. Okay. Beat. Now there's a lot of words for beat. Let me see if I can get, so I could share more. Oh. That was exciting. Wish my lighting was better, and I hope you can see better later. And it's just me now. But we know that beat, you know, a stroke or strike. We hear about, the embedding, we know that slavery and to be beat in that way, but we don't know about this beat as far as Moors, and about how embedded we are, and about how encoded we are, and about how connected we are with the earth. And that's a wonderful kind of essence to have. More. More is more. You're more. Mi am more. To love. To orgasm. To love. The edge of a gate. And a gate, right? Dark matter energy, or the energy of creation. I've gotten ahead of myself a little bit, but it's just exciting to find out the wonderful things about your essence, instead of, the things that are not so attractive. We're always hearing about the sad stuff. Excuse me. But we get to hear about the beautiful stuff too. And that is just like so exciting to me, to be able to share those things. Okay. So I get really excited. So we know about the beat, to hurt, to hit somebody over the head with force. Okay. But what about this beat here? This is the one that I want to pay attention to. To remove the sod or surface vegetation. Heavy matted growth or vegetation from moorland or fallow land, which is burned off to enrich the land for plowing. What? to remove the sod or surface vegetation. Britain dialect. Hemp bound, flax or hemp bound in small bundles ready for macheting, written also as beet, the BEET, and baked. I was like these word associations. What I paid attention to the most was the heavy matted growth of vegetation from moorland and fallowland. Remember, there was a time when Moors lost their land and were burned. And if you listened to the last live that I did on the Moors, I had put in a series video that he made on the Earth history. I also put in Dan Winter's video and too. And if you did that, you've been able to already know, you've been already able to peep some of the Earth history that shows how connected we were with the Earth. There was giants, there were different kind of beings. We had our DNA is different than it was. There's been a mutation or a evolution that has happened since then. So that is, mind you, we're hearing about Moors where this thing beet is, okay? The heavy matted growth of vegetation, moorland or fallow land, which is burned off to enrich the land for plowing. You have stolen my copper and my gold, that which enriches the land. We know that we as humans we're organic computers, but we're also crystals. And they use crystal parts inside of computers. We are embedded. We are computers, organic computers, creating computers, storing our memory, places for things that we've learned in order to access that information, just like how we put it in books. I can go online right now and share my screen, right? I can go online right now and share my screen. And there's so many different ways we have to share information. I can tell a story. I can share some personal information, right? Right, family? And so there's different ways that we are embedded with information. Take some blood and it has a genetic code. It's going to tell you some information. It's going to tell what's going on with your body. Different parts of ourselves. There's people who know how to tell what's going on with your body by looking at your eyes and your fingernails and your tongue. They can tell from your complexion. They can tell by the way the blood looks going through your fingernails and your toes. It's the reason why they don't like you to wear fingernail polish and stuff like that if you're having surgery. It's one of the things they can look at is your fingers. We're embedded. We're embedded. Okay? So now I wanted to get to more. We clean things like the salt of the earth. There are different compositions. We can't all be born. I was going to say ish. We are all fertilizer in some form or another, and one man's trash is another man's treasure. One man's God is another man's devil. It's perception and it's positioning within the matrix. For instance, not the most perfect example, but you could have a room full of hungry people and resources only enough for a small group of them. And so a decision is made. All right. there's going to be a small group of people that are going to be able to receive the benefits of this food or whatever that's needed. Not, it could be shared and evenly shared and distributed so that there's no hurt or foul to anybody. But only, this is the rule, only a small group is going to get it. You'll find how one man's devil could be another man's God. Because everybody's going to be the one to wish that that food or those resources end up in their lap. If that's if that's what it is, if it is what it is. And we need to know that about ourselves, that you too can be Killmonger if your children's bellies is on the floor, or it's just even you. To be honest with ourselves about our essences, and not hide ourselves. This is the way that we heal. This is what I've learned through therapy, through using different methods of therapy to get closer to my creator. Okay? That which is the author and finisher of us all is what we are made of. I'm finding more and more. 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 Yeah. I'm not only talking about us who call ourselves more by way of skin color. I'm talking about those who call themselves more by way of behavior, spiritual behavior, morals, and the way we interact with each other, the things that we think and feel, and how we really want the world to be, and what sacrifices we're willing to make to get closer to that. Only you and your creator knows that when you're sitting alone, not pumped up by any other thing. That is an embedding when it comes to connecting with the deeper realms of this spirituality. And that is the basis, really the foundation for me going into this. These words and these thought constructs in our mind. I got Moorish here. See that arc? Remember, I know you saw arcs like that in the video footage if you checked it out. Moorish, of the Moors, their culture, and style of the Moors said of architecture. Moorish architecture, a style of architecture which the Moors of Spain, North Africa, etc. employed in mosques and other public offices, called also shamanic or Arabian architecture. Its distinguished features are the prevailing use of the arch, of the horseshoe shape, lofty and long cupolas, and profusion of the elaborate surface decoration. The horseshoe arch embraces more than a semicircle and is therefore narrow at the springing than above, as shown in the doorway here in the illustration. Similar arches pointing at the top are also common. Okay, that was something that we did as a part of our architecture. I remember some of these doorways were extremely large, showing you wouldn't make a doorway that large unless there was somebody who needed to get through the doorway. It needed to be large like that. There were small doorways and humongous doorways. And if you read the Book of Solomon, clearly Solomon was asking the giants, who were depicted also as demons, okay? They called the giants demons because of the destruction, the amount that they consumed, and if they got out of hand, it was crazy. It reminds me of the story of the big head scientists and stuff, it's coinciding with the information that I researched about the hallowed earth and the people in the hallowed earth. Tribes and stuff in there that actually made golems. And you know, with just so much research, man, it's just crazy. All right, so and then we have more, Moor. It says wasteland, a moor, a tract of open wasteland, especially in the British Isles, usually covered with healthier and often marshland or petty heath. A tract land in which game is preserved for the purpose of sport. Game is preserved for the purpose of sport on this land. A tract of land on which game is preserved for the purpose of sport. Okay, I read that. To confine or secure, and places as by cables and anchors or chains. To secure, to fix firmly. To moor a ship, etc. A ship. That sounds like the strawman kind of stuff, right? The strawman when it comes to your social security number. There are so many word connections and that bring up these thought forms, but in a direction where you can understand them a little bit better when it comes to a people. And the language being embedded and how when you look at something like the word nigger and the word naga, check out the video from naga to nigga. Or is it from nigga to naga? I don't know. But check it out on YouTube. It's fascinating. Fascinating to see how much trouble was taken to fool everybody. It's not just, see, that's the thing, right? It's the strange thing. We need to look for more when we look at this. It ain't just us who is fooled, it's everything around you. If you're fooled, then everything around you has been touched. If you've been tricked, everything around you has been tricked to keep up the charade, the facade, that the world is one way when it's entirely another. This is a big freaking part of the matrix, our very freaking language, the Hebrew alphabet. We come from, all right, so we're fire, water, earth, air, and ether. We're made of over 70% water. Of course, we're made of earth, which is the carbon. We register stuff like computers. What gives us the information? The difference between us thinking and able to receive the light code frequency. Information is a light code frequency. So being able to register that is the difference between being brain dead and being alive. The movement. Even if you're still thinking. Thinking is a movement. So you're like lucid dreaming, like in Dune, where they moved from one world to another by way of thought. They went into this chamber and they moved. Still, listen to the words, still thinking, still traveling, still moving, still, and meditation is working for a place of stillness where you get into a flow where we're like really not, it's just autopilot. You're not really thinking, you're just there, you're just being. There's not an account of time or registering so much the world around us as it is registering the world and the feelings inside of us. United States, togetherness, altered states. Altered in what direction? We've been altered in one direction. We can be altered in another direction. If it's a program, then the program can go in one direction. It can go in many different directions. It's depending on the way we look at it. More calls for us to be more, not the same. A people set aside and different. more cause for us to behave more appropriately. The embedding of us as a people, as a light code people, as a chosen people, is not just putting on clothing that says you're those people, but utilizing the light code frequency that says we are those people. If it's in the essence, it stays in the essence. You are what you are. It's a plasma communication. You can dull it, but it's in the essence. Dan Winters said, who I'm grateful to know online, because he gives us, and he didn't charge for it, the ET history of the planet. What's included in there is the history of the archons and Dogon and a lot of the. Just check out his research when it comes to the extraterrestrial history of the planet, right? Said that evil is a failure to embed. Excuse me? Excuse me from evil. Excuse me from a failure to embed. But a failure to embed in what? But when you're talking about the planet, and you're talking about in the likeness of our Creator, and talking about a mother or a motherly spirit, when I think of air and water, the trees, the land, when I think of the essences of those things that we are created from, they get the maximum non-appreciation, because we do them all the time. We eat, we breathe, we drink, and we have passions to consume. But I'm growing a notion to be more aware of consuming to produce, not just consuming to consume, but consuming to produce. It starts changing around the things that I'm looking at and consuming with my eyes too, and my heart. Is it a whole bunch of hate stuff? Because I can spend my time on hating, or I can spend my time on finding the medicine to hate, the antidote. I can become more. They killed our ancestors. They killed people and burnt them. And you learn of energy never dies, it only transforms. That person's spirit is still here. And their essence is actually on the land. Burnt. You got burnt. You've been had, the technology. But the essence, energy never dies, it only transfers. The maroons, the monsoons. Check out the phonetics. The essence, we're embedded into this very fabric of the planet by light code frequency, some of us, by spirit, some of us even. And that's a choice. It's a choice as the way we choose to look at it. It's also, that choice is clarified, it's purged, it's tried in the eyes of our Creator on the scale. As above, so below, as within, so without. And not so much defined by materialistic stuff as it is defined by the way the natural resources are interacting with us. Charge implosion. That light code frequency was up there. We look at it. We even get the frequencies and stuff from the sun. It seeps through everything. The plant life that we eat, that gives us genetic code. What, you want vitamin C? That genetic code was given to an orange. You want iron? That genetic code was given to some leafy greens. What? And if you want Moors, I didn't say s'mores. That genetic code was given to a particular being also. What I found interesting in my research was I wanted to learn how to clean water. What I learned about cleaning some of the nastiest metals and toxins out of water, one of the things that are needed is bones. Bones. They use bones also to refine sugar, white sugar. They were using human bones. Now they use animal bones. They even have people that go around collecting bones in certain countries to sell to the sugar companies, dry bones. They still use it now. Which is the reason why I know if you're going toward the vegan thing and you're getting away from the meat because you don't want the essences of, this is where the embedding comes in. You don't want the essences of animals, byproducts inside your body. So we try to stay away and refrain from white sugar that's been processed because it's been processed with bone. What else has been processed with bone is, what else bone cleans? Processes water, filters out. A lot of nasties in water is bone for your water filters. Yeah, sand and the rock and the gravel and the other layers of foliage, earth, help to clear out the water. But if you want to get more of the toxic chemicals, you're going to need bone. I found that fascinating. That sometimes you just need certain, excuse me. Hebrew is a chemical language. And people are chemistry. We respond to chemistry. Thank you, beloved. I just want to say hi to everybody. Anisha, Juan, Janet, Rashen, Rashish. Sikona. Good day, family. Good day, family. Much love to you and yours. Yeah, so he was saying how the evil is a failure to embed. We don't have a failure embedding. We're here for the information. Okay. And remember Jung talking about ancestral memory? It's embedded. It's in us. Energy never dies. There's examples of it everywhere. It only transforms itself. The essence of those bones are actually helping to clear out impurities, even if it is the bones and not the spirit of the person. Now back to the monsoon and our spirit. An example. Why does the Vatican not like to do exorcisms? Is one of the things that I came across in my research. And the reason why is, they got to go through all these things to get special permissions. And so some people go and do it outside of the permissions of the Catholic Church, of the Vatican. They do it anyway. But one of the reasons why I was told they don't like doing it is the spirit, when it comes out, it has to go somewhere. It's the principle, energy never dies, it only transforms. It's a universal principle. So if you have the right to peace as a universal principle of wholeness, of peace, and something's disturbing your peace, and you remove it from the carbon vehicle that it was in, then it doesn't just disappear, it goes somewhere. Imagine, imagination. Imagine like these archons, these pictures that were put in our minds, right? With the excuse me, and not realizing that your essence is going to be here. They send a priest in to give you your last rites before you pass away. Is it a means to control the spirit, or is it a means to try to calm the spirit before it goes? You know, tormented spirits, and you hear of ghosts and things like that. There's plenty of ideas of embedding, and that's being fractile in a way that's counterproductive. But we're also fractile and embedded in a way that is productive. The shaman learns to control the weather, learns to make it rain. The rain dance, that was a real thing for Indians. They embedded into the earth. There's a space, it's personal. When you get there, if you're not there already, when you become, this is the embedding and the fractal, being part of the earth, and then becoming aware that I'm a part of the earth, then spending time in a relationship, a new relationship, where I'm actually like, you know, I want to get with you, you want to get with me? I want to spend time with you, you want to spend time with me? But it ain't something that can be faked, because there's a measure energetic potential. You know when it happens because your fingers tingle, your insides tingle. You can feel like when you get into a space of flow during meditation. You can feel everything else zap away where you just don't care. Like you're so in love. Ah, so in love. You don't care if your hair is messed up and your eyebrows are crooked, and you just want to be with that essence, the thing that you love, the person that you love, the ing. You want to ring that bell, the ing. You want to be full of something. You don't want no ish that's void. Ish. You want to ing. You want to ring. You want that thing. You want to feel something. You want to feel some ing. Not nothing, not ish. Unless your behavioral modification, negative reinforcement, that kind of ish, like you're using the ish to put you in a place where you don't want to do that ish no more, where you've changed the behavior and the attitudes and you've changed the way that it fits in the mind. Like people who have addictions change their behaviors by way of changing. It's behavioral. It's replacing the behavior with something else. It's alchemy. You can replace a Jew with Jewish. It's nothing. You can't replace a more with more-ish. It's not the same thing. It's wishy-washy. That's the lukewarm that's going to be spewed out of the Creator's mouth. It is or it isn't. You either know what it is or you can't even follow or get what it is if you don't even know what it is. Because you're not going to get the essence from the ish unless you realize you're not going to get the essence of a more by being more ish. might get some resonance, is not the essence of. Although the resonance, because the essence is so powerful, like the earth is so powerful, we get freaking trees and vegetables and fruits. The animals feed off of it, we feed off of it. It's so powerful. An entity. We used to say thank you to it, to the vegetation, to the earth around us, to the terrain, the terra. They say pan is short for panic. And that Pan, the Greek god Pan, is actually another word for Jesus. You're looking at archetypes and symbolism and stuff like that. Don't trip. Take what you need and leave the rest. Terrain, Pan, panic, Geb, entities. We want more. The essence of, right, is we're a part of the land, a part of a bloodline, a part of an ancestral bloodline, a part of a frequency, a part of a light code frequency that's embedded inside of carbon, inside of a vessel, inside of a ba. That's what drives the ka, right? The difference between consciousness and unconsciousness is dead and alive. The difference between dead and alive is consciousness and unconsciousness. I said that backwards. Which leads me to the implosion again. The Moors. Planet Cyrus B, and the connection, right, with the ancestral history and implosion. You know nothing. And then you close your eyes, and from this dark space, you have a question. And here, you have a question somewhere, and it's in your terrain, it's in your body, it's in your computer. Dr. Francis Scott Wesling used to say, in your mind's computer. She used to say this thing, in your computer, you know. She knew she was a computer. Okay, so we are already programmed with certain other things, which makes us look for things to connect to that program that we already have, right? So even when we try to get rid of that, the essence of who we are inside here is still floating around. So you're in flow, and I don't know, maybe you have this question or something. You pull it out from nowhere. Is it nowhere? Or is it just someplace that we are not familiar with because we don't know it? It knows us. It came, we got the information from it. It's lingering there. We're a part of it. So it's just perception, right? So we want more. We can get that information from this cloud in the sky, right? From the cloud. We don't have to get beat. Energy never dies, it only transforms. And so this memory, when I get close to the earth, it like gives stuff back to me. I'm like wondering, you know, because it's all this big cycling of energy. I hope I'm not too far out there for you to understand what I'm saying. But it's like this big Taurus energy. It keeps giving back, and we keep getting from it. Charge implosion. This dark matter, this space where we pull stuff from, is not void. It's full of a lot of information. Just like this laptop that I'm looking at, or even a phone. Do you think this thing could hold all the information in the world? It's like you don't see it, right? But there's ways to access pretty well, most of the there's, because right now we're on the age of information. How much information can I access from this little thing right here? What? How much information can I access from this little thing right here? It's the same thing. I got a question. I want to know more. I need something. We pull from the earth, we plant seeds, we get more. Edgar Casey, pulling from spiritual ancestral memory, he wanted more. Ifa, voodoo, putting up altars like a antenna, like a signal. They want more. Where are we getting this more from? What I'm saying is the more is us, because energy never dies, it only transforms. Okay? We go back into the surround, we become a part of what we are. And the more the fractality is, the more I'm able to realize it, the more I connect to it. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, Hebrew is sung a lot. There's so much that's done with this language that I've been researching it. It's just phenomenal. It's like a doorway to so many other things that are fulfilling. Anyway, I wanted to I think I wanted to stop there today with the implosion and the dark matter energy. Um, and you could just go on and on and on and on with this ish as a means of fertilizer. Um, it's ringing until it rings, until it becomes substantial, until it becomes something mutually beneficial, like rain, like food, like the essence of our creator that we are made from. The choice to make more garbage and start more ish, that's counterproductive, or create something beautiful and make a shareable wave. Um, like one of my teachers was saying, yeah, Dan Winters was talking about being a shareable wave. Um, I admire all my teachers and other fellow scholars and stuff. Um, the stuff that we are able to share with one another is phenomenal, and it is very soothing and healing. I've been going through so much in my personal life. Um, information, thought, also being a whole nother entity, a whole nother place to be. um, Mingling and getting to know those parts of myself, like why am I thinking what I'm thinking, and how will this get me closer to my creator, where I feel more complete, as opposed to disheveled and needing to prove myself. Um, like there's this balance. So like when I came on today, right? I need to know that I'm plugged into that life force that wants me to do it, wants me to share what I'm learning, because you can't keep it if you don't give it away. Um, it's like having my higher selves and my teachers, as it's like being pushed out of the nest, because I have to repeat what it is that I've been getting most of the time from from that frequency of more, from the dark matter space, from ideas, from the flow space. And then what happens is something really weird. It's like this veil, the evil, this veil. Evil is a failure to embed. There's this wall. Wow, it's even hard. It's like a dream space, lucid, like when you're trying to pull something from a dream, but it doesn't make sense in real life until you just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, and then all of a sudden this one symbol opens up like a flower. It makes sense. It's kind of like that. It's a coupling. It's a relationship that's real and it cannot be faked. It's a certain ring or frequency that you reach with this information where you become it and it becomes you, and you realize what you are and that it's you. That's where we are right now. That's what I'm sharing with you. And in that space, a lot of times I don't feel like sharing because I don't feel like I can articulate on the same level as this force. Like it was one thing in a dream and it's totally different when it tries to come out of your mouth now. In fantasy land, it sounds really cool, but when you try to pull it and manifest it in real life, you sound off the wall. Where there's a balance to that I believe that our Creator wants us to achieve. And that's the space that I work diligently at staying in. It's very humbling. The balance between what I want and what I feel like my higher power would want for me, like a parenting kind of thing. And being honest with myself. I don't like when things pop up when I'm talking to you, and I'm like, really, I got this fetish thing where nothing can pop up while I'm talking to you. Oh my gosh. It's distracting. Anyway, I was about to finish. All right, I got something right in the middle of my screen that's not responding, but I'm glad it didn't cut off what I was doing. Yeah, so we talked about the shiny-ish. Watch out for it, because with these concepts and thought forms, right, I notice they have you looking one way, like with the excuse me. So while you're looking at the shiny-ish that looks good, they're shaking you with, you know what I'm saying, in the other direction. With while you're looking over there is misdirection. And so building up my obedience, I guess, usefulness, just being humble, just trying to make myself useful and sharing what I learned so that we could all grow is part of my learning process. Anyway, yeah, much love to you and yours. I'm still learning about this camera stuff. Like I said, a lot of times I don't want to repeat what it is that I've learned. I got stuff up to my eyeballs that I need to be repeating, that I was told to repeat. And I have to make myself be obedient and do more and share, you know, the extras with you. Share it, so you know what I'm overflowing with, to share it with you. And I thank you so much, family, for being here for me and allowing me to share it with you, because that means that it didn't come back void. There's a resonance frequency that's going to go someplace. And so I thank you for being here with me. Let me share what I learned with you. Much love to you and yours. I'm reading something. Learning to keep up with all the different facets of this. Like, did anybody ask a question or say anything before I get off? Janet says, when we go within, we can connect to the source creator. We hear the voice when it becomes still. Yes, yes. You know, and then repeating that voice back and knowing that you got it right. It's like, this is all a dream, and I don't know if it went right until I actually hear myself back. If I listen to this, like when I go to repost it, it feels a lot of times like channeling. Only that I guess I'm channeling what I've already learned, but I've got to really look into the, you know, the meanings of those words, because there's channeling where you just get the flow of information that comes to you, and then you repeat it back, or you, all right, I channel and it leads me to a source, and then that ends up connecting to synchronicity, and then I take that and do my research while listening to my inner voice while I'm still connected to our ancestors, while also attempting to move my own character out of the way and be in some sort of flow. If that makes any sense for you, you've had to have been there for any of that to make any sense, what I just said at the end. Okay? This is also ancient Mayan wisdom, very ancient wisdom, that the energy has to be given away. Yes, it is created and then given, sent, and dispersed, transformed, and shared. Much love to you and yours. Yes, yes. That's, I was like, you have to be in some aspect of this and have tasted it, or want to taste it, or be in some kind of, some part of it in order to understand what it is that I'm saying. And that's why I'm so very grateful. My voice and this cold, oh my gosh. Only if you're here in the space of rawness and realness can you possibly comprehend how much I appreciate you. And from this space, I'm going to learn that I know that you appreciate me as much as I appreciate you. And I'm going to grow that resonance frequency. Much love to you and yours. Yeah, I'm out. Thanks for being here.